All right, everyone, welcome to another groundbreaking episode of EdUp Career School's The Scoop with your host, Kathy Belletti. So, as you know, this season two is all about our admissions advisors because I know how much work and dedication you guys put into this role and how much you actually pour into your students day by day. So this season is all about giving you tips, how to help you be successful in this role, the pains and the wins. A couple of weeks ago, we had on an advisor who was very seasoned. We'll call her an OG, okay, because we're talking about 17 plus years. This week, I have on what I would call a flower. Okay, 1 month in, right?
Yes.
Let's welcome Kenya Edwards. She is an enrollment advisor with the Allen School of Health Sciences. Hey, Kenya.
Hi, Kathy Ann. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. How are you doing, Kenya?
I'm doing wonderful.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you.
That's always good to know. So, Kenya, talk to us about your story. I know you've been in admissions for a month
A
now.
month.
How exciting. How did you actually land this admissions role? What inspired you to become an advisor?
It's almost like a dream story.
Okay.
And I say that because I used to be an area manager for a telecommunications company
Oh.
and I ran their construction side. So I'm more so in the outside construction field, everything like that. So when I decided to leave from there and pursue my purpose, I actually am on the radio as well, and I do a Christian life coaching that
What?
I do on the radio.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
So with that, I just stopped to do that and seeing whatever else was out there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a call, and this guy was like, "Oh, we've been looking for someone like you. We need someone to come and fill a role of an advisor. We saw your resume. We know you're on the radio. Sounds like you can do this." And it struck me because I was like, "Okay, that's interacting with people. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I do. Let me try it out." And I'm glad I did. It was like the best thing I've ever decided to do in my life.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. You know, one word that you named in there that really struck with me, purpose.
Purpose.
Purpose. Let me tell you, admissions is one of those roles where if you were not here for the right reason, you will fall flat on your face. This is not a regular 9 to 5, maybe on paper, right? But you got to
Right.
care. And
You
it's all about helping people and really getting them to the next level. And I love that you said your purpose. That is super cool. So, with that said, Kenya, our students are not always the easiest to deal with, right?
of
They
course.
deal with so many false beliefs. So you have the ones who are like, oh my gosh, I haven't been in school for so long. Am I
Right.
going to be successful? You may have some financial setbacks. You have those people who don't have any support at all when it
Right.
comes to their families. You have people who are working part-time and they're like, where am I getting the funding to make a
Hmm.
better life for myself? You know,
Exactly.
and it's not an easy task because your role is to inspire them and paint the picture of what life can look like.
Right.
So, in your experience so far, have you experienced any of these scenarios? And if so, how were you able to overcome them?
Actually, I've actually experienced a little bit of each of that and it really surprised me. And I guess it surprised me coming from where I came from because
Uh-huh.
I went to the traditional institution going through
Hmm.
college. And I wasn't really aware of the career
Uh-huh.
tools that were out there. And so when I got here, I was actually surprised. I was like, wow, I could have thought of doing something like this. But when you run into the people that have apprehension,
Hmm.
it is hard to change that mindset. And that's exactly what it is. It's a mindset.
It
You
is.
have to try to convince them that what they're doing now is laying the groundwork for the life they want.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's hard for people to see past that next day. So you
Yeah.
really just have to encourage them to just, what is it your biggest dream is? Where do you see yourself? What is it that you really want to do? And let
Hmm.
them know that it's possible. It may seem like it's so far away, But
Mm-hmm.
every journey starts with a step. And if you don't take that step, you can't get there. And I use
Exactly.
something as simple as, you want to go to the grocery store today, right? And they'll
Uh-huh.
be like, yeah, you have to get up and get dressed and leave your front door to even just get to the grocery. So if you can think I need milk,
Mm-hmm.
then you can think I need to be. I said it's the same thing. It's just you're
Yeah.
just changing the scenario.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I have been in this industry for over 16 years.
Hmm.
And one thing that I've noticed when it comes to our prospects is it's a different type of student, period. You know, a lot
Hmm.
of times when you think of traditional, some of these students, they know exactly what they want. You know, they have the support from their parents, their buying committee, right? They
Hmm.
already know I want to become this title, and this is the school that I've already selected that's going to get me there.
Hmm.
Our students a little different, right? So
Hmm.
you ever
Yes.
see those memes when they're talking about, all right, so this is how a man thinks, and it's like one straight road, and it's like this
Hmm.
is how a woman thinks, and it's all
Oh Lord.
intertwined. It's the
Yes.
same thing when it comes to traditional versus non-traditional students.
Right.
Our students deal with so many barriers in their mind
Yes.
that they think is preventing them from getting them to the next step. And it's all
Exactly.
about effective communication. And I
Hmm.
could imagine myself sitting in front of you and you just tearing, that onion apart, but that's exactly what it's all about. Oh my gosh. What would you say in the time that you've been here, do you feel are some of the characteristics that you really need to have in order to be successful in this role? What have you picked up on so far?
You have to have compassion and understanding
Mm,
because we all come from different walks of life. And the way we might view life
mm-hmm.
is totally different from someone else who has never seen outside of their neighborhood.
That's
So it's hard. Sometimes they just can't imagine doing something other than what they're accustomed to seeing. So you have to have compassion, you have to be patient,
right. Mm-hmm.
you have to know
Patience.
how to, and what I've also learned is you have to
Uh-huh.
know how to say one thing 10 different ways.
Oh my gosh, I just had this conversation yesterday.
It's all about how you phrase
Mm-hmm.
something that it triggers something in someone else. Because you can
Mm-hmm.
have one conversation with one person, and the next conversation, you can't use those same words because it doesn't resonate with them. So you have to know how to, from listening to them, hearing
Mm-hmm.
what they're saying, then you know how, I almost say it like you have to learn how to speak their language.
Yes. Yes.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I had this conversation with a couple of advisors yesterday because what they're struggling with are dependent students.
Okay.
Those dependent students. So my advice is, come on, when you're dealing with dependent students, it's not the same conversation that you would have with a more mature adult,
Right.
right? Think
Mm-hmm.
of what were you into when you were a teenager? Okay, it
Mhm.
wasn't buying a house, it was hanging out with your friends, having your
Exactly.
own money, buying clothes, trying to impress some guy, and it's like
Exactly.
you got to get into their minds, and that's how
Right.
you're going to be able to inspire those type of students.
Right.
And what may be appeasing to one person is boring somebody else to tears. you
Exactly.
know
And you know what I find also
uh-huh
too with the dependent students, which really surprised me?
uh-huh
Sometimes with this dependent students, when you had brought up about support,
mm-hmm.
the student is gung ho. It's the parents that's
Yes,
holding the student back. And
yes,
I'm like, this child wants to get
yeah,
on, they want to start their race in life. And it's the parents that's like, I don't know.
yeah.
It's, it's mind boggling.
But you know why though? What I found in my experience is these parents, they know their kids.
Yes,
So when these kids come in here with these tuitions and they know that they have to take out that Parent Plus loan, they're like,
yes.
oh, this kid who never completes anything, yeah, we're gonna have to take a little bit more time to discuss
That's true
this.
too. That's true too.
I had to start thinking to myself, oh, come on, you're a parent. But then when you have some kids that started college like 5 times,
Yes.
and they have
Yes.
not completed anything, that parent is like, so how much is your tuition? No, sorry.
You're
So
right.
I get it. I totally get it. But then you have those parents who are just not supportive, you know? And
Hmm.
one thing that I don't know if you've noticed is sometimes these dependent students, they tell you what they've never told their parents
Definitely.
before.
Yes.
You know, so you'll be sitting in front of a student and a parent, and they're spilling everything out, and the mom is looking at her like, since
What
when?
are you, what are you
Like,
talking about?
when were you ever interested in that? So
Exactly.
it kind of tells you the type of relationship too. Do you guys
Yes,
talk? Do you have a conversation at any point in time?
you're
I
right.
love it. Girl, you sure you've been here for
It doesn't take long. They throw you in the deep end real quick.
100%. Well, let me ask you this. What advice would you give to an advisor who is now starting out? Because there are so many new advisors in this industry
Mhm.
across so many different states, right? And I know in their first week, some of them are like, what did I just get myself into?
I
Right?
was thinking that.
Look, you got to be a little crazy to be in admissions, right? But what advice would you give to someone who's now starting out?
I would say to them, think of what got them excited to take the role in the first place.
Mm, okay.
Because usually what gets into your spirit,
Mm-hmm.
if it drives you to want to do it, that's really the motivation of why you even seeked out having this position. And it's going to be tough. It is. Some
Mm-hmm.
days you're going to hang up the phone and you're just going to be like this, like what just happened? But the good part about that is when you get that one that you've
Mm-hmm.
helped, and then you see, it's like, wow, I made a
Yeah.
difference. I helped them make a difference. So if you can remember that you're actually changing someone's life for the better,
Mm-hmm.
that's what keeps you going.
That's awesome. And it also goes back to purpose, right?
Yeah.
Are you here
Once
for
again,
the right
for
reasons?
the right reasons. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely right.
I always tell people, you could always tell if this is something that you really genuinely care about because some of these stories keep you up at night.
They
And if
do.
you can just turn it off at the ending of the day, something is a little off because these are
Right.
people. And some of the stories you hear, you got to think about this at some point later in the day. And it
Mhm.
affects you to the
It
point
does.
where you're like, I got to get back on the phone with this person because I know this is a great opportunity. Right. So that's how you know
Exactly.
you're here for the right reasons. Do you have any final thoughts or advice for our listeners, Miss Kenya?
I say if you have a love for people
Mm-hmm.
and you really, really want to help people be their best in whatever God has chosen them to be,
Mm-hmm.
do it. Because one little conversation can change someone's just whole perspective on everything.
So true. It's so true. I love it. Well, there you have it, our 1 month expert. Woo woo! Thank you so much for joining us today, Kenya. I could already tell that you're doing an amazing job, and I know you are going to be going so far in this
Thank
industry and
you.
changing thousands of lives. Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much, Kenya.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
Absolutely. So there you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you are looking for more amazing tips in admissions, head on over to lessons.motivatewithkat and do not forget to follow EdUp Career Schools, The Scoop with your host, Kathy Belletti. Take care. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to set up a free demo for your enrollment team, don't forget to head on over to lessons.motivatewithkat.com. This training is 1 year unlimited access for your enrollment advisors, and it's filled with tons of interactive videos, presentations. I'm giving it all away. They're getting all of my downloadable tools that will bring them immediate results. So if you are looking to take your team to the next level, don't forget, once again, that website is lessons.motivatewithkat.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time, later.